Need for Speed Heat is the latest installment in the Need for Speed franchise, aiming to try and revitalise the series after a pretty up and down past few games. In this video we'll take a look at all key aspects of the game to see whether it's worth your money in 2020. So first let's take a look at the gameplay. The entire game is pretty much split into two halves, day and night. Rather than a progressive day and night system though, you can choose when you want to switch. During the day you complete races and events to earn buck, which is the in-game currency, while at night you earn rep, which is needed to level up and unlock cars and car parts. Racing in daylight hours is legal, so there is no traffic, whereas racing at night is illegal and there is heavy traffic. Developer Ghost Games have done a really good job at balancing the two gameplay options, as you need both to progress and they offer very unique experiences. Daytime gameplay is very relaxed, and if I'm completely honest, it's a pretty vanilla kind of standard open world racing formula. Nighttime, however, is really where this game comes alive. Racing at night is seriously good fun, and it's down to two main factors, which are the cops and the heat level system. While they are far from perfect, which I will talk about later, in the right circumstances, the cops can make for an incredibly thrilling gameplay experience. If a cop car drives past or into a race, it will start chasing you. You won't get chased every race, but you will in the majority. Things start off pretty easily at the heat level 1. You can keep racing quite comfortably, although as reinforcements are called, the challenge ramps up seriously quickly. You will also have to manage car damage. Cops will try and ram you off the road or even go for head-on collisions to try and take out your car. You can repair your vehicle by driving through a petrol station, although you can only do this 3 times per night, which adds to the difficulty. If you so choose, you can also try to wreck the cops. You can smash into them, drive them into buildings, or just let them drive into a river. Nighttime racing is also made even more tense by the heat level system. Every night you start at level 0, completing races and escaping cops to build up your level. What makes it so good though is that whatever level you get up to before your night finishes is what your earnings are multiplied by. This creates a really unique and exciting experience, as the more you do, the harder it will get, but the rewards will become so much bigger. Sometimes risks will pay off, but if you get busted, you'll lose all of your nighttime earnings, as well as a pretty significant percentage of whatever credits you had saved up. Talking about getting busted, there are 2 ways for it to happen: by getting boxed in or by wrecking your car. This generally works quite well, although the absence of gadgets was a bit of a shame for many, as this would have created some more variety. There are quite a few race types in Need for Speed Heat. The main ones are circuit races and sprint races. Circuit races are, well, 3-lap circuit races, and sprint races are longer events going from A to B, which are my personal favourites. There's also an off-road equivalent of both of these, as well as a time trial and drift trials. It would have been nice to see some more original race types, although I'm sure this is easier said than done. I also want to just quickly mention that if you do have any questions about this game, then drop them down in the comments section and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Next, let's take a look at the graphics, because overall this game does look pretty good. The first thing you'll probably notice is how warm the colours are. After playing a lot of the Crew 2, this took a bit of getting used to, however it does fit the vibe that the game is going for. Detail and textures also look good, especially in the city, although the greener areas also look quite nice. Other than a few assets such as the sea, which for some reason just looks awful, the graphical experience is pretty polished. I'd say it's better than the Crew 2, but not quite on the same level as Horizon 4. The city detail is also something that stands out. You can see inside shops, and it feels like very little is being recycled and used over and over again in different places. Once again though, the game really shines at night. This is where you'll spend at least half of your time, so it's understandable that a lot of effort was put into it. I find quite a few games to be a bit annoying to play in at night. If the visibility is too low and it's not done properly, I feel like it can be a real drag to play in. Ghost Games seem to have nailed it this time round though, as the atmosphere really fits the illegal street vibe, making the game a graphical pleasure to play in all conditions. There's also a story element to this game, and all I'm going to say is that it's bad, in fact really bad. Need for Speed is generally quite polished, although the story element just lets the rest of it down. It's badly written and obviously hasn't had enough time spent on it. I won't give away any spoilers, although to be honest that doesn't really matter as it is so predictable. It's very cheesy and ends abruptly, although if you can look past it and ignore it, it doesn't really hurt the experience too much. The cars in this game are also a huge highlight. All 127 cars have ample customization, as well as abundant detail. 127 isn't actually as many as other games, with The Crew 2 having 180 cars and Horizon 4 almost 500. This doesn't really matter though, as the progression is quite different to those other games, meaning there will be lots of car choice at most stages of the game. The car customization, however, is what makes up for having fewer cars. The upgrade system is very good, allowing for ample fine-tuning. There's everything from nitro upgrades to full-blown engine swaps. Most parts will have 5 different variants: road, race, off-road, track and drift. This allows you to make virtually any car suited to any specific events or conditions, which means you can buy multiple sets of parts for one car, so you can go from racing to drifting with the same car, or buy multiple vehicles and set them up for different things. Visual customization is also top notch, and I especially like how most parts belong to a larger set, which often look good together. There's parts to fit almost every taste, so you can really make any car your own. There's also a pretty good livery customizer, which is nice to see, and it also lets you download and use other people's creations. You can change your car's horns, underglows, and even its exhaust sound, which is a really cool feature. Character customization is also quite prominent. It's rather similar to the system in The Crew 2. You can choose from a selection of rather interesting looking base characters, but from there you can change all their clothes, including items from real brands such as Adidas. It's a feature that feels almost unnecessary, but I suppose it's a nice touch if that's what you're into. The map in this game is also very good. While it's not actually that big, there's a lot of stuff crammed in here, which makes it interesting to drive around. The more condensed size also means that it's relatively quick to drive between events, which I prefer to just fast travelling around, which you can do, although only at daytime and to certain places. The roads are also actually really good in this game. Roads are often completely overlooked in driving games, although they can make a huge difference to the experience. Need for Speed Heat's roads are just great fun to drive, and for me at least that really stood out. Another map feature that they've nailed, at least in my opinion, are the destructibles. Pretty much 90% of the things that you would often drive into will just break, so while it's unrealistic that you could just take out a huge tree, it makes the gameplay experience seriously smooth. Need for Speed Heat also has some very good handling. By very good, I do not mean realistic, but it definitely fits the game well. All cars are fun to drive and have quite distinguishable handling characteristics. There's also support for force feedback wheels, which is a nice feature, although most people will just play this with a controller, and that is how it's meant to be played. There's also multiplayer, which has actually been implicated really well. You can choose to play on or offline when you open up the game, which is good, as I think a lot of people are getting tired of the online only games. You can have up to 16 people per server, and something else I think I should mention is that this game is cross-platform, which for many might be quite an enticing feature due to the very limited options for crossplay at the moment. Overall, Need for Speed Heat is a solid game. It's far from perfect, but there are a lot of good things about it. Car customization, nighttime racing and the map are all highlights for me, and these things definitely outweigh the bits of the game which need some fine tuning, or maybe a complete redo if we're talking about the story. It's definitely not the best Need for Speed game we've ever seen, although it's easily superior to 2015's game, and of course the infamous Need for Speed Payback game of 2017. Anyway, that's all for this video. If you have enjoyed it or found it useful, then a like or even a sub would be absolutely amazing. But that's everything, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.